working? Is everything running? Is everything fine? Test the chat box and make sure it's popping up. Yeah. Setting up a stream, and the computer wants to restart. Yeah. Do 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 do. Bum 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 bum. Microphone check. The thing is going. Everything works. Do 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 do. Even when computers are jerks. Dun dun dun. Getting my pencils. Hey, Space Goody. Alright. This marker should be fine. Sip of juice. And... Alright. Ripley, everything's cool? Alright, sweetest angel. Play that sweet, sweet intro. Alright. Oops. There you go. Everything's fine. Nothing weird. Nothing weird there. Close enough. Oh, man. Yeah, I've seen a few of the Disney action figures. They're almost, some of them are kind of posable. Like, looks like Darkwing Duck. You can move his arms around a bit, but then their legs are kind of stiff. But with those kinds of characters, it's hard to jam knees and elbows in them. They're kind of squat proportions as it is. But if you ever see those crazy, like anime action figures of, I don't know, I always see like Link and Mario and stuff. And I know that they exist, for the Disney characters, and they're amazing. They're amazing. But yeah, I've looked at that Darkwing Duck about 1,000 times. And there was a Negaduck that was on sale for like, I don't know, something crazy cheap, like $4 or something. Like, shouldn't I get this? Why shouldn't I get this? I mean, come on. I don't got a Fantacan to feed over here. He's already full of his own goodness. I might as well, but then I didn't because I'm like, I'm not going to animate it really. I've already got just enough toys to like put on shelves that are, verging on too many. But yeah, every time I go to EB Games, that's all I do is like, here's a bunch of action figures. Let's not get them. And then I go to the comic store, and sometimes I'll get like 2 or 3 of the 3 for like $5 old stock comics, which for the most part are comics that I had 20 years ago. And I'm like, oh hey, yeah, I want to read that again. Is it great? Pretty sure it's not. And then read it and like, oh yeah. These are all terrible comics. But fun to go back and see how crazy some things were and get some new things. But they've always got some awesome action figures. Like the Gizmo, I grabbed that and I'm like, I can't walk away without this. And now they've got two, I think they're both Stripe actually, but 2 metamorphosized gremlins. And they come with so much stuff, like just miniature little things, and they're still fairly posable. I think one has a posable jaw, and the other one doesn't. But it's just like, ooh, that posable jaw. Like, how much is this? And they're like, oh, they're actually not that bad. They're like $39. I'm like, I already have a gremlin that I don't animate all day long, so that's fine. I have tons of things that I could animate and have fun with. And there's no need to add more, So, got a random, it's probably from Instagram, reference picture of some lady that we're going to turn into a robot. First, let's go to this camera. Actually, before we go to the drawing camera, let's go back to this camera. Let's go back to Showtime for one more second. So, I already cannot hit this camera. I already started telling Space Goonie the beginnings, parts of today's adventure. But like I always say, here at No Such Thing as Grown-Ups, there's no such thing as grown-ups. We're all just a bunch of unprogrammed robots that are doing the best with the weird programming that we get from the adults around us that are all just pretending to be grown-ups. With that sentiment locked into everybody's minds, okay, I'm going to do my best to try and draw and talk at the same time. Hey, Pat! So, this is the building that just kind of keeps on giving, usually in ways that you don't want to, but sometimes people put stuff downstairs for free and it's like, oh, this is a good deal. So far, I don't think I've taken anything from downstairs, but I've definitely put some good stuff down there that people have taken and used and love. So, as we've discussed in several episodes of this magical adventure that we call streaming and living in the Maniac Mansion here, like I said, like I love this build. Like this apartment is just awesome. Like just the way it's set up, I love it so much. It's all old timey, which needs to be updated 1,000% because it's drafty and cold. But it looks and feels awesome when it's not drafty and cold. But outside of the door, once you go down the hallway and up and down the stairs, you start running into the crazy people that inhabit the mansion, the building of madness. Okay, I feel like I've already not given myself enough space. So, like I said, last few weeks I've said, hey, the crazy people got kicked out. They crazied too hard, and the landlord finally showed up and threatened to kick their door down and told them, you gotta get out of here. And they were like, no way, man, you gotta give us at least like 2 weeks, like fine, 2 weeks. So, dude number one, gone, disappeared, leaves within the 2 weeks. Okay, he was borderline reasonable. He was trying his best to stay sober as long as he could. Every time I did talk to him, it was like, hey, I've been sober for so many months or whatever. Like, good job. Again, I've known you less time than this and I've seen you super drunk. But whatever, I'm not here to point fingers. I'm just looking for a quiet place to draw pictures and make up theme songs at random as people follow and subscribe and whatnot. And yeah, that can be annoying, but talked to the lady that lives below me today, and she did not once mention, hey, you're really loud. Everybody was more or less like, hey, it's pretty quiet in here other than these people. Like, all right, cool. So, odds are, if it's real quiet, she's not watching TV. She can probably hear me singing away and whatnot, but it's only for a few hours on a Tuesday. But like I said, near as I can tell, most in apartment stuff doesn't travel very well unless you're in the hallway screaming towards the rest of the building, or you're in the hallway hearing people scream inside their apartments, that's normal. That's just normal life in the world, right? And like I said before, the other lady, so it's all contained in the floor above me. Dude moves away. Other lady, I think she must have moved away because like a truck came, took away a pile of stuff as we discussed that looked like the pile of hoardings of just garbage furniture and craziness. So it's like, well, she must be gone. And then seeing her again, coming and going, and her being more or less personable, not out of her mind on drugs or drunk or what have you. So, in terms of action figure joints here. And whatever, I think like, okay, maybe she scams some kind of deal where it's like, yeah, I've got like a social worker, some reason I'll prove that I'll be sober and I'll be fine and I'll live here and I can stay, and she's here and she wasn't causing trouble. So it's like, all right, not technically any of my business, and it's been quiet, so who am I to go casting stones? So I don't know, 3 days ago, a few days ago, she's in the hallway screaming again for whatever reason. I was like, all right, cool. So I guess that wasn't deal. There was no deal. She's probably just still here, and she'll be forced out eventually or something. So, bing. Today comes along, and those dings are somebody reacting to this very story. Not right now, but I messaged somebody earlier while I was eating my supper that, hey, this just happened, and while it was happening. So today I can hear what sounds like somebody moving in or out. I look outside, there's a U-Haul that doesn't seem to have anything going into it or coming out of it. So it's like, everything's a mystery in Mystery Mansion. And there's also, though, right down below, what drew me to the window was like loud furniture smashing sounds. So people were just hucking furniture from the step over into this big flatbed, truck trailer deal. And it's like, all right, cool. So I don't know what's going on at all now. I can hear her voice. It doesn't sound like she's freaking out or fighting anybody. So maybe this is people helping her move out, but they clearly don't care that much, I guess, because they're just throwing her stuff as if it's going to the dump, but it also looks like stuff that's going to the dump. So whatever. I finish my work. Don't really pay attention. And then suddenly, after work, I can hear some kind of yelling. So to the window. I've got a nice little circle of windows, so I can see a pretty good, I've got a good vantage point of most areas around the building, except for, that direction. But all this way, I'm good to go. And I can see the lady across the street. Like there's a yard, then there's a street, then she's on the other side of the street. She's just got like a purse. She just has a bag. I don't know. And I'm just like, oh, this is so sad. Like, this is so sad. And it is. This is not a funny story by any means. This is only sad. It's just the crazy things that happen in my day. So she's yelling, like she wants to come back in, basically. So she's yelling, Batman Slayer X is now hosting. Thanks, Batman Slayer X, and following. Oh, there's the thing there. Okay, one of the sounds was off there. I don't know what was going on there. But, gotta interrupt the story for, because he's a Batman and he's a Slayer X. He's not an X-Slayer, but what the hex? He'll take you down all the way to town, but he's not a cop. He's a vigilante. So anyway, she's yelling, I just need to get back. I can't find my phone charger. I need my phone charger. I forgot my phone charger. And he's yelling, there's nothing left. There's nothing left. Go away. You don't live here anymore. We cleaned all your stuff out. And it's just, and that part there is like, that's terrible. That's terrible. They just like cleaned her stuff out. Like, that's awful. But she had 2 weeks, which doesn't seem like enough time. But really, she had 4 weeks. Because she's telling people, like, oh, like, I got kicked out 2 weeks ago. And I told them, no, she got kicked out 4 weeks ago. The other guy has been gone for 2 weeks. But, in some people's heads, no matter how much you tell them, this is what's happening, they still go, yeah, 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 yeah. Anyway, I'll see what happens. Like, no, 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 this is what's happened. It already happened. It already happened. You're done. You're done, and you're basic. Time to move on. Um, So anyway, I feel bad. I feel super bad because in my head I just feel like, oh, she's like basically a homeless person who had this place to live. They took away all her stuff and they kicked her out in the street. But then I'm like, oh yeah, 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 yeah. She had plenty of time to figure something out. She can afford this apartment. Therefore, she's not a poor person. She can get a place to live. There are other places within this city that are much cheaper. She said she doesn't even want to live in this city. She knows people other places. She'd rather go there. And I'm like, go there then. Do that. Done. But, people all hopped up on pills that are drunk all the time make stuff up. So, who knows what's real and what's not. You can see this. Anyway, forgot to switch cameras. Boop, white balance. Um, So how does that end? Oh yeah, so he yells, "The cops are on their way. Don't come back in here. The cops are on their way." And I'm like, "Oh man, the cops are definitely not on their way," because he is like ready to like leave. He's halfway out the driveway. Like you don't call the cops and leave. That's crazy. You stay for the cops. So he leaves. Once she starts to make her way up the street. And I'm like, all right, cool. I guess I can finally go check my mail now because people aren't being crazy in the hallways. And as far as I know, the crazy people don't live here anymore. I just saw the last one walk away into the almost sunset. So I go down to get my mail, and somehow it just becomes a town meeting downstairs by the mail thing. Because I get down there. This other guy from downstairs is coming in from outside, and he's like, "Oh, like that's pretty crazy." And I'm like, "Oh," I was like, "I actually kind of missed it this time. I just caught the part where she wants her phone charger," and he tells me, basically the stuff that I didn't know. They had her stuff cleaned out. She was there while they cleaned it out, so none of this was a surprise to her throughout the day. As near as he can tell, she was helping them like get rid of her stuff. Who knows what she thought was going on inside her head, but she was also propositioning all the workers, all the helpers, the cleaners, just straight up trying to do it with them, and. Yeah, this lady has huge boobs. I'm not exaggerating anything. If anything, I'm toning these down. So there was that. So all of this stuff, I'm like, okay. Like I can only feel I can only feel so sorry for people. To a point where it's just like, all right, like. There was a ticking clock in this whole thing, and you kind of decided to use some of that time to try and get some action when you should be trying to get a place. So anyway, talking to the dude for 2 seconds, lady comes out. She's just like, "Hey, like blah blah blah. This is pretty crazy, but now I won't have to call the cops as often as I do. I'm tired of calling the cops so often." And I was like, all right, yeah, this is crazy. Another lady comes out and she's just kind of like, hey, am I right? And I'm like, yeah, are we all right? It's crazy. So the things that I learned downstairs today are as follows. One, when the building got crazy was just about the exact same time that I moved in. Lady downstairs, I've lived here for like 5 years. It's been basically quiet the whole time. Everything's been cool up until a certain number of months ago, and I'm like, oh yeah. I remember that day. That's the day I moved my first load of stuff into the apartment, and the guy who left yelled at me and everything else, anything and everything. He was just yelling. He was just super drunk. He didn't know what was going on. Like and so that's around then was when this started. Like, yep, because the people who used to live here, they were like, what? Don't know what you're talking about. Place is always quiet. Everyone's nice. Everything's cool. Like, yeah, that's what it seemed like when I visited you guys. But as soon as you guys moved out, they let the maniacs move in. So just like, we don't know who you're talking about. Those people weren't there when we were there. And this lady's lived on different floors. She's moved around the building, so it's not even like I didn't even notice. So I didn't tell them that it's like, oh, sorry guys, it's me. It's me. I'm a magnet. I do a show every Tuesday, and seemingly you guys know that because every Tuesday you all somehow manage to tell me stories about this building or do something insane for me to talk about, and that's just the magic of the building. So there was that. I learned that whatever. I'm the Pandora that opened up all of the evil and a little bit of hope or whatever is supposed to be in Pandora's box there. And what else? There was that. I told them about some of the stuff, some of my stories, and they were like, whoa! And then... okay, no, yeah, it didn't happen yet. So then it was a bit of story time. So one lady starts to say blah, 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 like the dead body or whatever. Like, oh, yeah, I vaguely remember hearing about somebody like died in here. And I can't remember. So yeah, when that other lady came out that was like, this place, am I right? She was like, ooh, like I gotta go, but I love this story. She's like, but I don't love this story. It's not a good story. She's like, but I do like hearing it kind of thing. Like, okay. And the story goes as follows. The apartment at the end of my hallway. Dude was like, hey, I haven't seen whatever, Steve in a while. I'm going to go knock on his door, see if he wants to have a beer, because I haven't seen him for a while. Maybe he's down. And he goes, knocks on the door, nothing. So he looks in the window, because it's like, out of all of the apartments, there's only one where you could actually look in somebody's window, and that's the one, luckily enough. So he looks in, and he's like, oh man, like Steve's dead. And the lady's like, Steve's not dead. Like, he's definitely just passed out. Let me take a look. So she goes and takes a look, and she's like, oh, wow, that's a full-blown dead body. This is insane. So, they call whoever they need to call. Now the racist couple lives there, and they scream at each other. What's better? A dead body or people screaming? Who knows? So... that I'm not like, wow, like, yeah. Everybody's going to be a dead body somewhere someday. That's how things work. That's fun, right? So even worse, even creepier, scarier, weirder. Well, when the dead body starts screaming, of course, then it's a terrible time. Yeah, nobody needs that. The guy I started talking to first... He's like, yeah, well, one day, I was telling him about the time a guy upstairs was screaming, help, help, help. And I went upstairs and whatever, tried to help out. And he was like, oh, yeah. He's like, this is not like last week or something like that, a few weeks ago, whenever it was. He was like, yeah, I heard like the girl downstairs screaming for help. So I went running. And then when I got there, she was like, I want to say she had like blood on her face, like she had blood on her. I was just like, all right, okay, what? How did I not hear this already? I guess, or this seems like a big thing. And anyway, stories you shouldn't tell anybody, I guess, but especially not on the internet. And he's like, yeah, yeah, I guess this person had like a miscarriage or something like that. I don't know what happens there to get blood all over you, but I'm sure something traumatic and dramatic and horrific. So, all right, cool. So, whatever, he does his best to help her out and stuff. I like this place is awesome. So again, at least in that case, I'm just like, oh wow, like great, somebody was helping somebody. They didn't tell you off when you got there. That's good stuff. Um, so they tell me that blah blah blah. We're just in the midst of having a quick little story time with the neighbors. Don't do it too often because it's usually horrific tales of horror and madness. Yeah, sometimes they're just fun, adorable stories. Whilst, whilst we're doing that with a thick WH, um, you can see there's like a big round window in the front door. We're just inside. We're just in the lobby there. And as people come in, you can see like a bit of a quick silhouette in the sun, and then you can kind of see them for a second. And each time, like maybe but like two people showed up, and just like, okay, it's just a regular person that's going to their apartment, or they joined our little story circle. But then a cop shows up, and he's like, "Hey, what's going on?" And we're like, "Hey, um, apparently everybody's a rude maniac, and they called the police and left." Like, okay. We're like, so yeah, whoever called you, I think they're already gone. He's like, all right, so did so and so. So he knows everybody's name and are involved. He's like, what did so and so? Were they doing something? It was like they were kind of, and then they were screaming at each other in the street. He told her to go away, and she went up the street. And they knew more, so they were regaling the facts. So he was like, all right, and he asked, like, was the landlord here and this and that, like by name. So it's like, all right, like this guy knows everything, and he's satisfied with the answers. So on his way he goes. Like, all right, cool. Like 2 seconds after he goes, you can tell people are reacting as if like, oh yeah, like that guy. Whew, thank God for that guy. And I'm like, what's insane is I don't know any cops. I don't know any cops. Don't know cops. Don't look trying to know cops, to recognize cops. They're doing their job, and I'm locked away in here, and we're all happy and peaceful. I was like, but thanks to the people from the second floor up, I recognize that guy. This is not the first time I've seen that guy. It's usually through my people, while whoever lives next door is trying to have their restraining order, work. Excuse me. I'm like, hey, I've seen this guy before, and instinctively, hooded lettuce 99. Yeah, robots have boobs and they're fine. Forgot to give her robot hair. Boobs, question mark. So we say that. The cop's like, all right, I'm happy. Cop goes on his way. We continue with our stories. While still just in the back of my head, maybe in the front of my head, all I can think is, oh, snaps, oh, snaps, oh, snaps, McGee. She's gonna come back. She'll come back for me. And it's not gonna be fun. And then all of a sudden, you could see what looked like the top of like that can't be her head, and then there she was. The door opened, and there she was, and she just walked past us and just looking at us, and we're like, well, I'm just like, hey, like just said hi, like hey, oh, well, however I say, and just like exploding inside, just like, what do we do? What do we do? What do we do? Even though I know that like within a minute, one of these guys is almost definitely, or the people upstairs when she gets up there is going to be like, hey, boop 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 boop, landlord, guess who's back? Crazy's back, and wait for her to figure out how to get up the stairs until she gets upstairs. And wait till she passes my floor, gets up to her floor, and I'm like, all right, cool. I'm going to go sneak into my apartment, lock the door, and forget the rest of the world exists once again. And I do that, I get upstairs, and I'm just like, well, this is no good. I was going to do things before the stream. And now I feel, like just petrified with anxiety. Like, what do I do? What do I do? Like, should I be the one? I should probably just message the landlord real quick and be like, hey, she's back. I don't know what you want to do about this, but I ain't doing nothing. Let's robot hair ain't working for me today. Yeah, nobody has a part that far over on their head. Not even a robot. Anyway, we'll figure that out with markers. So, I'm literally just like, I don't know what to think now. Is she the kind of person that's upstairs setting the place on fire? Is she upstairs getting ready to hang herself over the stairway? All of these things, based on the random screamings of the maniac in question, are wicked possible. So I'm like, I don't want this person to hurt themselves, and I don't want to go see a dead body right now. I don't want to fight with some stranger. I'm gonna message the authorities that be. So as I'm writing, hey, she's back, she's upstairs, and I'm starting to write, it sounds like she's rummaging around in like her bag looking for her keys to get in, maybe? I don't know. It sounds like rummaging and mumbling, grumbling, like she's not happy that she can't find whatever it is she's looking for, and I can only assume it must be her keys, but at the same time it's just like, yeah, she probably still has a key somewhere to the place. And B, I don't know, like anything is just possible at this point. I'm just like, I don't know. Maybe she's already in the apartment up there. I genuinely just don't know at this point. Yeah, let's go with some round knees. Or is the sound of rummaging like her trying to put together some things, like I said, to start a fire? I don't know what she's capable of. So it's like, so I can't relax because it is just like, is something crazy about to happen? Or is she just going to break down upstairs and start crying? Um, Either way, it's not necessarily a matter of she needs to be arrested. It is like she knows she needs help. She's got to go somewhere and get some help. And I do not have any of the qualifications for that particular task. But anyway, while I'm messaging the landlord to say it's back, I look out the window and the police are already here. So I'm like, all right, never mind. Police are already here. He got back here, and like they were already heading upstairs. So of course I listen a little bit to see what's going on, and you can hear like the police asking her kind of like, what are you doing? She's like, oh, 1 second. Like, she's like, I can't find my keys. And they're like, well, what keys? They're like, the keys to my place. Like, oh, what place? Like this place. And they're like, you've been evicted. You don't have keys to this place anymore. You're not supposed to be here. You have to leave. That's why the police are here. And she's like, yeah, but no, like I'm homeless. There's nothing I can do. I have nobody and nothing. And it's like, well, again, you had a place to live. So clearly you could make that happen again. Either way, you're not getting back in there. So same thing. She's like, I just need to go in and get some stuff. And by then the super's back. Is like, there's no more stuff. All your stuff is gone. It's over. Go away. We're done. You've been warned 100 times that this is what was going to happen, and you sat there and waited. So then, basically, the last thing I hear, see, notice is they're just basically like, all right, like, so you're going to stay at a shelter. We'll take you to a shelter. And I think they said they were going to take her to Tim Hortons, get her some tea or whatever. And it's like, all right, like they're at least still like they're treating her like a person. They're at least trying to get her somewhere. They're not just like get out there on the street and go die. So it's like, all right, like that's great because again, like all she needs is some kind of guidance or help. So now, as far as I know, the place is reasonably quiet. Like I still get the crazies next door, but they're just two people that hate each other. They're not, beyond like they're definitely crazy. Like, but in a way that I can make fun of. I don't feel too bad for them because all they have to do is break up. Super simple. All right, I feel like we should definitely put some guns. Put some guns on these gunships. Eh. Yeah, no matter what. Yeah, that's just weird. we go. Looks a little less crazy. Anyway, let's add some markers so we can see this thing. And I want to say, so anyway, yeah, they took her away. I still, of course, keep expecting her to still show up back here at some point. My other, it's not crazy at all, but crazy-ish churro story of the week is, I really don't like, dare I give her robot bangs? That will look weird. There we go, that's better. So my friend Amanda, as we talked about last week, was here last week, and she mentions, oh, so-and-so still lives in Truro. I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot that they even lived in Truro at all, because when they first moved here, I kind of presumed that they moved away 9 minutes later, because it was like traumatic, right? Like it was traumatic. I was like, but now that you say that, I've definitely seen them somewhere around town and thought, that kind of looks like that person. Why would they be here? Never think anything of it. I don't know them that well. I've probably talked to them like maybe 4 minutes in my whole life, but we like went to high school and stuff together. But you know, she lives near and is more friends with Amanda's crew from back in the day, which was not my crew. So like I say to her, like, oh, obviously, that was her then. So she is here in this town. And then I go to the mall, whatever it was, a few days later, yesterday, and I get a new sketchbook and some random dollar store things. And as I'm getting closer to the lineup, I'm like, that person is definitely her. Like, that's either the person I thought was that person, or it is that person. And I've looked way too many times now that I'm definitely a creepy person. No idea if she recognizes me at all. But I've looked too many times not to say, hey, you're blank, right? And see what happens. But I'm also like, I'm almost into the store. I should just go. But I'm like, again, I looked too many times, and the worst that will happen is they'll be like, no, that's not me. Like, no, I'm not that person. Like, all right, cool. So I turn just before I leave, like I paid for everything, and I just like I feel insane, and I just like it's Cindy, right? And she's like, yeah, and she's like Curtis, and I was like, yes, yeah, that's right. I was like, okay, I was like Amanda was just here, and she said that you were in town. I was like, oh, that makes sense then. I didn't imagine a human. Um, And then she basically is like, oh, I've been here the whole time. Like, I haven't left since school. Like, what? Like, that's crazy to me. So, blah, 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 whatever. Meet her husband. She has, like, a cookie business here in town. So that's all well and good. That's not the crazy part of the story. That's just like, hey, you run into people. from back home that you went to high school with when you least expect it, or slash 20 minutes after somebody says, "Oh, that person's here," you'll probably run into them. The crazy story is, 20 years ago when I went to school here, when me and Amanda lived here with a few of our friends 1,000 years ago, going to animation school. Um, we went through first year, and then it was time for a second year, and everybody got to know each other. People moved here and there, lives changed, Hakuna Matata, etc. So there's these two guys, they're like good friends, great guys, but to look at them, just to look at them, they're terrifying. They're like, I mean, nowadays they're super not that terrifying, but back in the day it was like, I'm a quiet little scared guy, and you guys are tall, and you look like you're into death metal, and you wear death metal type shirts and have death metal type hair, and you clearly say things specifically designed to frighten me for the fun of the group. And I get it, but at a certain point it is like, oh yeah. You guys are terrifying, and you know that, right? But they also took the time to be like, hey man, like we look up to you. You're over here really working really hard, and sometimes we're slackers. So one day we're gonna realize we need to work hard like you. Like that's crazy, weird thing to say, but made me feel real good, and special. Um, but anyway, like I said, just decent people, just terrifying as some people just happen to be. Now, um, they needed, or they were, I guess they were looking for a roommate. I have no idea. I have no idea how this part came together, but basically, like I don't know how the story. I can't like the way that things come together seems like such a like whoa crazy reveal to me that it's like, but it was mostly so unbelievable that I had to be told six different ways, seven different times. No, 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 this is just happening, and there's no logical explanation for it. I was like, no, 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 but the explanation is, all right, this girl needs a place to live, right? And she's from back home. Yeah. And the boys, they're scary, but they're from back home. So they probably got some family, and she's got some family. Yep. And they're like, hey, the boys, they got a spare room. Like, yeah. And she's like, I gotta move there and I need a room. Like, okay, cool. So you're aware of these guys and you're just gonna move here, and it's not gonna be weird for you because you know that they're already scary. Right? Like, right? And she's not in this conversation at this point. I still barely know her at all, at all, at all. I know basically that she is, I'm pretty sure, churchy. Like, goes to church, is cool with church, loves church, is probably going to be going to church. And these guys are literally like, hey, I did this painting that's like flames and then the word hell, and then an example. But I think they might have had the word hell, or at least war, or the devil. That's what it was. They had devil written somewhere. And I'm like, what's happening? And Amanda is telling me like, no, 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 no. Yeah, she's gonna move in with the boys. Like, but that doesn't make any sense. It was like, so again, the family thing, like, no. So she doesn't already know the boys. Like, no. But she knows, like, what? Like, she's gonna move in there. Uh-huh. And then she's gonna call the police or something. She's gonna call a priest. Something crazy is gonna happen, right? Because she is like I would, I don't know. Again, I don't know her that well, but it's like she seems like the kind of person that is like me times five. Like she is gonna be even more terrified of being in there. Like she's like a tiny little girl, and these are tall, scary men. What does that say? Yote Slayer 31. Cause when you've got a farm full of yotes, and you want to protect your goats, you gotta call the goat. Nope. You gotta call the Yote Slayer, not the Goat Slayer, 'cause that's a guy that is doing the thing when I'm just the sayer. You gotta perfect your goats and destroy the Yotes, 'cause those Yotes are evil as. I don't know, something evil. So I'm just like, I can't even, like, this doesn't make any sense. Like, just explain it to me how this is happening. And it was just like, they have a room to rent, like, and she needs a place to live, and then she's gonna live there. Nope. Nope, that's where it falls apart. So I think it might have even been as simple as like, I'm looking for a place, they're renting a place, and then the place rented her the third room, and none of the people connected were like, this isn't gonna work. And I think, and then at some point, I remember talking to the boys, like, so she's gonna move in here, like, yeah. So how's that gonna work? They're like, what do you mean? Like, that's not gonna work, though, right? They're like, what? Like what? What's the problem gonna be? Like, you have devil written over there on the wall, right? And she's gonna be like coming home from church. I don't know, Tuesday afternoon church group. I don't know, man. I'm pretty sure these two things do not go together in any way, shape, or of form. And somehow, some way, everybody was like, no, no, no. No, it's Curtis, why do you keep acting like you're some kind of wizard from the future who was like, no, 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 I've already seen how this stuff works, and let me tell you, not well is the answer. It's gonna be fine. You're an idiot. Like, all right, fine, I'm an idiot. Everybody, carry on acting like everything's not nuts. And I don't know. I'm gonna say so. Some Sunday right after church, she moves in from church. I'm really putting a lot on her if for some reason she's watching this. Like, sorry. I'm not making fun. I'm just saying, juxtapositionally speaking, this is the most insane. Like, this is beyond. Like, this is just beyond. And and yeah, I was like, well, it might just end up being awesome for everybody. Like, the boys aren't, like I said, crazy people. They have moms. They know how to be civil around people. They just like terrifying music and movies, and excuse me, and also coming off as terrifying. Like, like one guy again, sweetest, nicest guy in the world, but if he wants to put on his like, I'm not in the mood for anybody's nonsense today face, he kind of used to look like the Undertaker in like a big long jacket and long hair, just not saying many words. People would talk to them, and he would just stare at them. Like, what's gonna happen when he's not in the mood to talk and she's got a question and he just stares? Like, that's terrifying, right? It's terrifying. So I can't remember how much time passed. I want to say it didn't make it to a month, but I believe it was. All right, I'm gonna go move in with whoever I make friends with, anybody I can find before the month is out, and I'll be officially gone. You guys can move somebody else in at the end of the month because this is bananas. And everybody was nice and reasonable enough to go, yeah, 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 yeah. That makes total sense. Be on your way, and we'll continue with our day. But for some reason, I had it in my head that she was like, nope, Truro is nuts. I am out of here. And, oh, that's what I wanted to do with the eyes. Ah, well. And she left for good. But, turns out she's been here the whole time, raising kids, making cookies, and that's all I know. But what mostly makes me think of it is just that, like the wacky sitcom ness of it all. In that, oh yeah, like that's crazy. I'm I'm next door to these situations, but it's like you lived in a world that was, for all intents and purposes, the opposite of your world. And I mean, lots of people have, like, I still to this day, can't even understand when somebody either just online or especially at my job is just like, oh, blah, 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 like, oh, I got this new roommate, and they're like this, like, wait, what? No, again, like, this isn't TV land. This isn't the sitcom world. You're not like, oh, somebody's looking for a roommate. I'll go live with them. Unfathomable. There are not enough fathoms for me to league under the sea to accept that. It's just like, no, like, I mean, the roommates that I had in college were still people I went to school with, and even then I was like, I don't know about this. I've only known you for like months and months and months. This seems insane. But lots of people all the time are doing it, and it blows my mind. Just like, yeah. Yeah, that's just my roommate. Like, how? So you just decided to live somewhere where somebody else was already living? That's no. Those are fighting words. That's how war starts. No, that doesn't make any sense. Anyway, drifting away from the crazy people. I feel like I definitely had some other weirdness of the world. Looking around the room isn't jogging my memory, um, but maybe it'll come to me. So before everybody in town in the building just started going crazy again, I was just like, I guess we'll just talk about some movies and TV shows and whatnot this week. And I want to say it was just today. I'm not sure when it actually dropped into the lexicon of the universe of the internet, but I still haven't sat down and watched the trailer. I usually don't watch a lot of trailers anymore. I either just go see the movie or forget about it completely for my whole life. But, excuse me, because of the things that I look at and follow, the algorithm's like, hey, you definitely want to know about the Sonic the Hedgehog movie, right? You want to see everybody's complaints and accolades for the new Sonic the Hedgehog movie, right? Because the trailer came out today. Hey, excuse me, Curtis, Sonic the Hedgehog has a movie. Are you paying attention? And I'm sadly trying not to, mostly because first few images I'm just like, ooh, I'm not enjoying this already, and it's just a silhouette. If you can't pull off a silhouette in your movie tease poster, then my hopes go down pretty quick. And I mean, other than like Sonic is and has always been an iconic character. Sonic games, like the first two or three, were amazing to a degree, but after a while they are kind of, they don't have a lot of replayability. it mostly comes down to the fact that Sonic looks awesome. Like original Sonic, especially 8-bit version, is just a perfect 8-bit design. It was just right out of the gate. It was like, oh wow, you're better than Mario. You're better than all the other designs. Nothing will ever beat you. But in a lot of the drawings, he just looks terrible. There's an anime feature movie that I keep meaning to watch. It looks amazing. It's crazy. I know that much. The story is just beyond crazy, but it looks really nice. The designs are awesome, and they just lend themselves really well to the character and the speed and everything. It just makes it all play really well. Again, other than the fact that it is just insane. But I never really sat down and watched it. Just watched stuff about it. Because I didn't realize it was a thing until I finished watching the thing about the thing. So, my real problem, which is once, just like Pat says, like, although Sonic was technically part of my childhood, it was just a game. You can't really, again, you're not going to ruin that. There are other versions, better versions. There was an awesome cartoon and a terrible cartoon. So, things will come and go. But my concern, I guess, it's not even, I don't know what to call it. My trepidation about the Sonic movie isn't the Sonic part. It's the fact that Sonic's voice is Ben Schwartz. And he's the best. He's the best. And I really want to love that just because it's like he is like this is his childhood. He's a voice on DuckTales. He's getting to do all this stuff from our childhood. He's our age. He's the TV Goonie compared to us, and he's actually doing all these things that are coming back from his childhood. He's getting to be a part of them. It's like I'm so happy for that, but this movie itself, like hearing his voice, I'm like, awesome. Like you should be Spider-Man's voice. You should definitely be Sonic's voice, and a lot of different voices. Like again, he's just the best. He's for anybody who doesn't know, John Ralphio from Parks and Recreation, and he's just great in everything he does. While Amanda was here, I forced her to watch like a good chunk of all of the Jake and Amir episodes with Ben Schwartz. Can't recommend those enough. Just YouTube search Jake and Amir and Ben Schwartz and watch them all. They're the greatest. And like hearing him on podcasts, like knowing he's excited about it, but also like can't say that much about it. And anyway, so I saw one thing that was like, oh, you know what? I think I'm fine with this. Like once, seeing Sonic move around, I was like, yeah, he looks fine as long as he's moving. There's music, it makes it dramatic. It was like, if I do watch this movie, there's almost a like 80% chance there's a scene in this movie that is designed to and will make me like well up with inspiration and cry for like Pixar reasons. It's like they're definitely going to nail that somewhere in this movie. Other than the fact that it was like, Sonic looks a little bit cartoony, but that's just the style. Then it's like, oh wait, yeah, this is a movie. Sonic is in the real world. He's not in his real world. It's not a 3D Sonic. He's being smurfed. And I'm just like, oh, that's what this is. I can't take those. I can't take those anymore. And then James Marsden is like, hey, I'm the James Marsden in this movie. And I'm like, no, I don't even hate James Marsden that much. Honestly, like he does a good job at playing the James Marsden character. It just so happens that character is usually in one of these movies where they're, taking a character from something and then jamming them into the real world. Again, like I have no affiliation with Dora the Explorer. I've watched maybe 2 episodes with some kids and was like, all right, I get it. I can see how you guys like this. I don't want to watch any of this anymore. And then you see the movie trailer and it's like, so you're doing the same thing you did with Kim Possible. You're just like, hey, and even Kim Possible already went to school, and then somehow I didn't watch that movie, but they made a movie where it was like, hey, this is me trying to get through school. Ugh, like No, no, focus on the spy stuff. Do something cool. And why does this look so bad? Um, so, like all of those movies. Anyway, yeah. So I saw a clip of or whatever trailer for the Dora the Explorer. Where same deal. She's like she's getting out of the jungle and she's going to an even more difficult jungle, school. Like yeah, that's what every movie's about. Go to the jungle. We stop making movies about the jungle. Put the kid in the jungle. She has a monkey. Go have adventures with that monkey. For God's sakes, for the kids. For the kids. I'm not even going to say this. But anyway, with the Sonic version of that is yeah, hey, I'm in your world to try and save your world. And it looks the Dora trailer looks bad. It looks lots of very expensive big people in it and everything same deal. It has that weird Disney TV movie or Disney Channel movie flavor to it, even though it's Nickelodeon, where it's just like, hey, oh, I'm floating, but actually, like, here's me jumping because I'm good at stuff. Like, no, it looks like a bunch of kids being dragged around on wires, and I hate that stuff. Um, but yeah, when it's like Sonic and James Marsden become friends, I guess, and Sonic also has a bunch of electricity around him because clearly they're trying to make him the Flash. When it's like, no, 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 Sonic isn't part of the Speed Force. He doesn't get his speed from the Speed Force. But if you guys add that in here, I'll lose my mind. But he's just the fastest. That's just his thing. So there's like he's charging up, and there's electricity and stuff. I'm like, what is any of this? And then there's the rings, and I'm like, okay, if you're gonna have rings, and you're gonna have Doctor Robotnik, why aren't you just in why aren't you in the Sonic's Robotnik land, wherever that was, going through the Green Hill Zone to whatever? Because one of the Sonic cartoons from the 90s, it started off okay, kind of shaky. Then they had a season was like, what is happening right now? It's like the battle, this war between Sonic and the animals versus Robotnik, who's like, trying to put all the animals into robots and just have them all do his bidding and whatever. And at the end, it just kept getting darker and darker. Like this is a Saving Private Ryan of Sonic the Hedgehog, and it was amazing because it was like we're doing our best, and this guy is a full blown superhero, and he can save us, but he's always dealing with something more major while we're trying, and they did it so well. And it's just like if you took like the last 3 episodes of that series and finished it honestly, because I think it kind of ends on a cliffhanger where I'm just like, so did Sonic die? Like, is this over? Did they win? What happened? It was like a really big cliffhanger from what I remember. And then the show was canceled because it's just a show for kids. Like nobody intended on it being a ongoing story that somebody like me was invested in. But it was great stuff. Whereas this, it just looks like, hey, so I've got these rings that apparently are also portals. Like, all right, whatever. Hey, we got Jim Carrey to play Doctor O. You go, what now? Excuse me? What's happening? The Bullwinkle movie has Robert De Niro as the fierce leader or whatever it was. Like, what? These are what? Fine. And I'll give it to you that because Bullwinkle should have been the best, funniest movie ever because it is the style of movie that is like you can do anything with that story. It's like the Brady Bunch movie when you watched that, if you ever did, and thought like I'm not watching the Brady Bunch movie, and then 5 minutes into you're just like, is this the greatest, funniest movie ever? What is happening right here? Like I assume that was the first the seed that spawned all of the. Geez, like Baywatch and Starsky and Hutch, like all of those movies that were like they're remakes of old TV shows, but they're hilarious, crazy versions of those shows that were just crazy versions of themselves to begin with. And Anyway, I'm not sure. I can't remember. I'm pretty sure I did watch Bullwinkle and thought like, oh, this is 50 times better than I thought it was going to be. But I think I thought it was going to be negative a million. So I genuinely don't remember if it was like this is way better than it should be. But I'm pretty sure it was like, ooh, this is not as good as it should be. Like the Looney Tunes movie. um, but yeah, I didn't watch anything yet to actually hear Jim Carrey talk. I've only seen him, and there's just the one shot that's just like, this is a weird choice. But he is, he's the character actor of character actors, so he'll have fun with it. And the only thing that I saw that looked like he was like emoting or doing his thing was a shot that made it look like he was just playing Ace Ventura, like he was doing a regular Jim Carrey character, whereas Robotnik is kind of like a scary guy who I don't even know. I feel he should have just been everybody should have been CG. I don't know, and had the voice of like a Martin Short doing one of his crazy voices or something. But yeah, I don't know. Like I never had any hopes for it at all. But Instagram showed me one tiny little clip that I'm like, that looks good. That actually looks okay. He's going fast. He doesn't look that off-putting, but then as soon as I saw a shot with him next to a human, just like, oh, this looks like a fake movie. This looks like a student film. But Ben Schwartz. So other than that much, I don't want to spend any of my time going, that shouldn't have been made. That's a terrible idea. Like everything should be made, basically. And a lot of times those things are still terrible and it's fine. All those people will, for the most part, keep their jobs, get another job, and their lives won't be ruined by this. But at the heart of it, it is just kind of a weird, like, how did you guys get here? And the answer is, of course, the same way that the Mario Brothers movie got to where it was. Like, somebody sat there and went, well, we can't just make a movie of this game. This doesn't make any sense. There's no source material to work with. What are we going to do? Like, a bunch of those games tell stories. As long as you stop portaling the Smurf characters, stop bringing blue characters from their dimension into ours. It's annoying. It's annoying. Like, I just can't handle it. And it always ends up being about, that human person's issue, whatever their story is, to try and pad out the time because the character doesn't have enough going on. Like, I can't remember. I don't think I watched the first Smurfs movie. I know I watched a good chunk of it. I started it, and I either just didn't pay attention or I fully turned it off and was like, no, this isn't happening. But that movie is not about Smurfs, even though there's 100 Smurfs. So many stories you could tell. Instead, it's like, hey, we're going through a portal. Why? Well, you see, Neil Patrick Harris is trying to get pregnant with his wife, and it's not working out great. Or I just picture it being James Marsden. I'm pretty sure it's Neil Patrick Harris, but as near as in my head, James Marsden is trying to get pregnant and have a baby with his wife. So Smurfs. He's probably having trouble at his job too. I don't remember. There's definitely a montage of him sneaking them in through their job. And again, Smurfs had some good stories that they could have stolen from. Don't even have to steal from them. The whole point of using a property is to be able to use that property. I didn't go see the Bumblebee movie. don't care anymore. Didn't for a long time, but it only took them, what, 10 years, 15 years ago? Hey, why don't we just make one of them Transformer movies like Transformers? We got all the money, we have the rights to it. Why don't we just do that? People seem to want those toys anyway. Let's just do that again. And then they finally did, and it's just like, are you kidding me? Took you that long? Idiots. Now I refuse to see it just because, no. Stop letting Michael Bay do things. He's a creep. I'm pretty sure through the power of magic, it was still because of the Smurfs, or just because of believing on a blue Smurf moon or something. Either way, it's insane. Even in a world where you're like, I don't know, what am I going to write about for the Smurfs? I don't know. At some point in the writing meetings, when somebody came in and went, all right, this is what I got. This is what I come up with. We got this couple. They're trying to keep their professional lives professional. They're trying to make it be successful. They want to have a baby. They want to have a family, but they don't know what that's like. They're debating whether or not to get a dog, probably. And then these things, it's like having a bunch of babies. And they're like, how do we deal with this? We can't handle these things. How do we handle a baby? Am I right? And at that point, everybody in that room, except for the idiot that had that idea, should have went, no. No. It's a kid's movie. It's a kid's movie, Ted. Ted, you're fired, Ted. How dare you, Ted? Fertility issues? Yeah, it's a big thing. Ted, for little kids, and yes, I know parents are going to go see the movie and they want something to follow along with as well, but you know what? You know what moms and dads don't want to deal with? Babysitters and whatever, when they've spent $65 to take 1 to 2 kids to see a movie that they don't want to see? A bunch of adults having adult problems. Like, they don't want to see that. They're probably hoping to see, a magical world of Smurfs and their adventures. La 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 la. Smurf along with me. Let's just Smurf along, guys. Let's Smurf along. Get back into your office. Write something that is not insane. And stop drawing pictures of James Marsden in the margins. No more Marsden in the margins. I'm sure he's a great guy. I'm sure he's the greatest guy, nicest guy. Looks like, as an actor, he's so happy to be acting, and he's having the greatest life anybody could ever have. I am in awe, jealous of, and supportive of James Marsden 100%. It just so happens that he is the one that Marsden's things up, or gets stuck in these positions. It's not. I don't even want to believe it's his fault. He's not doing anything wrong. He's just acting next to green screens on sticks. Astrio Diz, follow along with Astrio Diz. Following this, follow the fizz. Have a Fanta and start a dot biz. Am I saying that right? Astrio Diz. What are you, Diz? And just the fact, my legs are giving out. I took too long on the markers today. Just the fact that it's always blue characters. It's a pattern. Movies don't know how to handle blue. They just don't. Or TV shows. The first tick, like we got Putty to play the tick. Like, isn't that perfect? Like, it sounds like it should be perfect, but it's not going to be. It's going to be weird. And it was. And I couldn't watch it. The new Tick, I believe that's on Amazon, sounds perfect. I haven't watched it yet. I've only heard the guy who plays Arthur on podcasts, like, talking about stuff, and I don't know, he just seems like an awesome comedian, funny person, so it's like, damn it, I'm gonna have to watch The Tick just to support you, but it does sound like a great version of The Tick. But that was weird. Smurfs. We got a few Smurfs movies that are just, what's going on, guys? What's going on? Everyone's afraid of blue characters? Yeah, we know. Just tell a story about the blue characters and stop trying to figure out how to explain why they're blue characters. They could just be blue characters, all right? That's like, oh, that guy. Yeah, I know he's missing a finger. Let me tell you for like a good 2.5 hours why he's missing the finger, and then I'll tell you a story about the guy with a missing finger. Like, does the missing finger have to do with anything? Not at all. Then don't bother with it. Sometimes people have a missing finger. Sometimes characters are blue. Sometimes Fanticans just sit there. I'm not explaining them. It's Fantican with eyes. Look at him. Just look at him. That's it. But yeah, Smurfs, Sonic, and of course, the genie. Maybe that movie will be fine. It'll probably be fine. Will Smith doesn't usually do a bad job of anything, whether he fits or not. He does, his Will Smithinist and puts something out that you can have fun with. Just from my standpoint, it is just like, he just looks like he's in it. He just looks weird. His movement is weird, the same way that a lot of people's movement is weird in Alice in Wonderland. It's not because it's necessarily bad. It's because it is like compensating for CG movements versus CG or human movements versus what the scene actually requires. So things end up looking awkward. Except those characters aren't in the whole movie in Alice in Wonderland, and this is the main character. And if he's just in non-genie form walking around like a guy for the whole movie, then no thanks. I don't want to see the movie. I'll watch the cartoon where the magic is there the whole time. That's why we watch magical movies. But I'm a monster. But I don't just hate things, guys. I don't just hate things. Fantican knows this, right? Yeah. On your Netflix, on everybody's next Netflix queue. This week's recommendation, if you haven't watched it already, is Lunatics. I don't know if it's just suggested to me because it's the kind of thing I like, but it's Chris Lilly, I think is his last name. He's Australian. It's an Australian show. It's the best. He plays a bunch of different characters in a bunch of different scenarios, and it follows their life through 10 episodes. And it is just the best. It's kind of a little bit improvisy, probably mostly written. I think his last show was Summer Heights High, I think is what it was called. And it was the best. Like, I loved that show. Probably rewatched it several times. It might even only be like 6 episodes. It might be on YouTube for all I know. I can't remember where you would find it now. Or where it was found. What's face is weird. But like, he plays, in this one, for example, he plays like this fashion designer guy who like basically just runs a clothing store who's trying to turn it into a fashion thing. He's also an objectophile who's in love with a cash register, and everything, I don't know, each character's life just escalates. It already starts like, oh, this is kind of weird, this might not be that fun or that crazy, and then something else like, ooh, this is crazy, and then by the end I'm just like, this is amazing, like, this is genius. Whoa, but I can't remember if it's called The Lunatics or Lunatics, but they're Lunatics. Another guy is a real estate agent, and he's from a family of real estate agents, but they all have these giant butts. But he keeps trying to come up with ways to basically save the real estate company because he's like losing the money with his crazy ideas. And his family is so hilariously supportive. Excuse me, quickly was becoming my favorite character. And then there's this girl, or well, he plays a set of twins, or he doesn't play the twins. He's one half of twins, and he's this girl. They're just going to college, and she's like 7 foot, I don't know, 6 or something like that. She's crazy tall, and she's got these incredibly giant legs. Obviously, it's to hide the painter stilts that are in there, but I don't know. After like a few minutes, totally into it and can't get enough. Like start feeling for this character, and I'm like, oh, like I hope this character has a good journey through this story. And he's just awesome at that character. Another character is a dog, not dog psychic, but a dog. Dog psychic. She talks to the dog, whatever, with magic. And every shot of her, I thought that one was going to be my least favorite. Turns out, like, again, next, all hilarious. Not a character that I just can't enjoy in this series. And then there's always like some teenage boy with like just a horrible mouth that like doesn't like to listen to authority and is causing trouble. There's another one of those, and just awesome. I think I almost want to say like almost doesn't compare to Summer Heights High because like I loved it. It was awesome, but I feel like if you like this one, then go check out Summer Heights High because I feel like the editing in this one it's just more better paced. It has a much better flow, whereas the other one I felt like I'm waiting for like episodes and episodes. And I have to watch. I think you should leave. I haven't watched yet, but same deal. That guy was on some podcasts I listened to. Something Richard something or last name Richards. Can't remember his name. But he was super funny, made the show sound super funny. Definitely vaguely recognize him from some other things that I can't remember. That makes sense. And I did not see Endgame. I have no opinions on Endgame. I feel like I should see it. Thought good and hard about seeing it on the weekend. Then I'm just like, I don't know if I could do 3 hours in a movie theater. I just don't know. I think that I would get up and even if I loved it, just leave. I feel like I would just leave. Like before I even got to the, left the door or even considered going, I'm just like, no, I'm probably gonna leave. So not today. Especially, right now, and it's like, ooh, it's making all the money, so that means everybody's at the theater. So I'm just like, no. Because it's not even because I'm like, I gotta see Endgame. I love the Marvel movies so much. I love them so much. They're fine. I don't hate them. Everything's great. But I mostly just want to see Endgame because I'm just like, well, what happened at the end of that last movie that I watched? Like, what, now what? And even the fact that it's like, might not even matter because, or probably doesn't even matter because everything's going to be parallel universes anyway. So who cares? Who cares? This movie basically doesn't need to exist. But once again, I'm sure it's very fun, even though most of the characters I want to see are dead. So I have to wait for them to come back to life, and then what? Then what do I expect? Is there going to be a whole, like, that's why I do 2 hours of getting the characters back and then an hour of another movie where we have all the Avengers doing stuff? Is that what I'm going for? Because then maybe. But if I'm just going to like, we did it. We got everyone back to life and we went back in time and whatever it is we did. All right, cool. Great. So no Spider-Man then. So I have to wait till the next Spider-Man movie comes out? Like, I'm only here for Spider-Man, guys. And a little bit Doctor Strange. Why don't you wait for the Doctor Strange movie? I don't want to watch any more Doctor Strange movies. No offense. Sorry, Doctor Strange. I have no interest in you in your own movies or comics. Anytime I've enjoyed him in the comic book world, it's not just a Doctor Strange adventure. It just sounds terrible to me. And as proven by the movie that I fell asleep through and thought, hey, that movie was great actually. It seemed really well paced, didn't drag, wasn't boring. Oh, wait a second. What time is it? Oh, I fell asleep through the whole movie. I just saw the beginning, this bear setup, and then him defeating the thing at the end and was like, yeah, this seems about right based on the powers you have and everything. Yeah, you should have figured this out long ago. You're too good. But awesome in other movies. I know that I don't care at all about Scarlet Witch and Vision, but I don't know. I assume they must survive because they're like getting their own TV show. I don't understand why. I don't know why. Anything. Hawkeye, I can kind of understand if you take from some of the comic stories. He has some cool espionage dark stories, but it's probably not going to be about that. Because I don't know, I watched the first episode of Arrow and I was like, hey, they actually made this seem pretty decent. It's not that crazy at all. Until finally he's like, hey, I'm gonna put on this green outfit and carry around this bow and arrow. Like, you're gonna what now? You know you're not Batman. You don't disappear like Batman. It's a bow and arrow. Like, again, you only have so many arrows. What is this about? And of course, it's not about any of that stuff. It's a soap opera about the lives of these rich kids. So who cares? But for the most part, I avoid most superhero TV shows just because it's usually not going to be about superhero TV shows. Always gets Lois and Clark to a certain degree, and understandably, it's expensive to make a full Marvel movie every week. And one last thing, I want to add a little more agree to this, that I learned this week is last week I mentioned, hey, went to the automatic teller machine at the bank, was going to deposit some money, but there were no envelopes to put the thing in so that you could deposit your money. And then I went back to the bank and I'm looking and it's like, oh, there's still no envelopes. This is crazy. And it was just after the bank closed. I'm like, oh, I'm going to have to come back again. I can't go in. But there's signs everywhere I realized with pictures of envelopes, and I'm like, I can't for the life of me figure out if those signs were there um, the other day when I was trying to figure out how to deposit money. And I just didn't notice because I was so focused on finding envelopes. But there's like a bunch of signs at the bank that say, hey, now envelope free deposits. You can just put your check in and it's good to go. You want to add cash? Just jam a handful of cash in there and we'll take care of it. Like, this doesn't make any sense. Like, oh, the robots. The robots are taking over. They can do everything now. They don't need us. I'm just like, all right, cool. That makes sense. You win this round. I guess we'll do this. So I go to the machine, look at the thing. Yep, just says slide it in. Seems insane, but I'll just slide it in. Deposited, slid it in, and realized, like, because normally, I've got it in my hand, got it in my hand, got it in my hand. Like, okay. And it says, like, all right, like, how much are you depositing? And, like, I flip it up a little bit, like, all right, and type it in. And I don't have to double check it 1,000 times before I slip it in. Because I'm just really nervous about, forgetting numbers that I just tried to remember because I always don't remember them the way I just read them. So I'm so taken aback. Like, I wasn't prepared. I didn't realize what the system was. But I was already doing it. It was too late. I was depositing. And I put it in, and I'm like, like, what am I doing? It's already in there. I didn't memorize what it said. And then it comes up on the screen, like, immediately, all right, you're depositing this amount of money. Like, you know? Like, that makes sense. I don't know what, I guess that's what, I had to have assumed that. I don't know what I was thinking was going to happen. It's like, of course it's scanning it and doing it like, because I'm pretty sure I can deposit checks just by taking a picture of them with a banking app anyway. I just don't. And I'm like, oh yeah, it's that thing. But it was like, I already put it in and realized, like, I don't know what I'm depositing. I don't know if this thing is going to spit it back out so I can get the information. I don't know what's going to happen. But thankfully, it popped up on the screen. But there was still, too old. There was a, hey, you're too old now level of buttons on the screen to remind me that I'm too old now to compete with the kids and their newfangled gadgets. But yeah, there was like a few things where I'm like, what's happening now? I'm like, yeah, like add it to my account? Like what? And it was like clicking with the thing, like, I don't know what I'm doing now. I'm in another screen, like, cancel. And I'm like, what am I doing? And in my head, I'm thinking, like, I'm going to hit cancel. It's going to pop back out. And then, I don't know, I'll go to another bank, I guess, or wait till they're open. But then it was all on the screen. It just took me a second to register and realize, like, oh, okay, we're done here. I just have to hit this OK button over here and say, like, confirm we're done. And that's the amount and whatever. Like, it all just did it immediately as it should, because it's the future. And yeah, like I said, like, I have to assume that it wasn't an option the other day, just because there was 3 different people and there are so many signs. I mean, everywhere, all over where the envelopes used to be, where you deposit. Like, there is so many signs that say you don't need envelopes anymore, you're good to go, and none of us noticed it. And it's just like, and like, yeah, I was there with Amanda, so I just texted her a picture of it, like, hey, check this out. And she was like, that wasn't there, right? Like, that wasn't there when we were there, because that means we're stupid. Like, that means we're stupid, and other than going to the teller and saying, hey, how long have those signs been there? Because, I gotta let me and my friend know how stupid we are. All right, thank you. Like, I don't want to know we're that stupid. We're just not observant, all right? When you really don't expect to be in a whole new, I don't know, technology bracket just by going to the bank. The first time I went to McDonald's, and there was robots there, and I'm just like, oh no. Oh no, what is happening? What did you do? What are we doing? I was so mad. I was so unbelievably mad. First day that McDonald's was like, yeah, yeah, yeah. We're just doing it. We're just replacing everyone with robots now. You cool with that? And I was like, no deal, sir. But now I'm like, oh, you know what's great? Um, touch screening what I want for McDonald's and then having a customized button. It's so much like a fully customized app. Um, that it's just too convenient and doesn't require me to get involved with humans and try to explain to them, like no, just no onions, just no onions. It's all they just do it. It's great. And exactly, yeah. And half the time, when I do go to a place like a McDonald's, and I end up talking to the people behind the counter, I'm like, what's going on here? How did this person end up with a job? Because um, I I'm just so used to punching what I want into a computer now. Well, why is this so difficult? Why is it there's only so many options on this menu? Everybody orders the same things. I know that I've changed my accent, so I still, even though I'm from here, I don't sound exactly like everybody else, but I'm still speaking English like everybody else. And so often people look at me like, what? Like, what are you saying? Bye? Like, just number six, no onions, please. Number six, no onions, no tomatoes. Is there tomatoes on there? Don't want them on there. Relish, you got relish? Don't put relish on it if you do. You don't have relish? Then moot point. Just looking for a cheeseburger with no onions on it. Even if they come on it, I'll scrape them off. I don't care anymore. I don't care anymore. But when I go to a robot and go beep boop 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 boop, it always just comes back correct. Here you go. We did what the robot told us to do, and here you go. Everyone's happy. But when you say words to a human, they're thinking, I hope, I hope, I hope, I hope. I don't know. Susan McJohnson really gets the votes on The Voice next week. I don't know if The Voice has votes. Really gets to win, gets that chair turnaround on whatever thing. And robots aren't thinking about that. Robots aren't thinking about that. They're just trying to sell you stuff. And let's do a circle today. And I guess finally, just in the world of, hey, I had fun being nonsensical for a minute, and I enjoyed it. Perhaps somebody else did. Maybe you will too. Was at a gas station, and it was like kind of rainy, weathery out. And as I walked into the gas station, I could have swore. I could have swore. Like, did I just get hit in the face with like a real big snowflake? Cause it seems like it's just raining out. Maybe there's a little bit of snowiness in the air, and that sucks. But I feel like a real big snowflake just got me right in the eye just before I came into the gas station, and I'm just like, am I crazy? Or is it snowing out? Like, I know it's raining, but now when I turn around and look out this window, the rain looks like it's not as heavy as it should be. It's floating too gently. There's definitely some raindrops in there, but is it becoming more snow than rain right now? Because I just can't. And he was like, "Yeah, we don't need that right now." I was like, "But it is like am I crazy? Like I'm just not sure if I'm crazy or not. Like, am I imagining this because I'm just so expecting it? Like it's snowing outside, right?" And the guy's like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah, yeah. Like it's snowing." Like, all right, cool. That's all I needed to know. Just making sure because yeah, it feels like winter forever. Um, but anyway, I didn't go on that long. It's just like it's like snowing, right? Like yeah, I was like, yeah, we don't need that. I'm like, no, not at all. I was like, well, anyway, I'm gonna go home and punch a hole in the wall because I thought that's funny, and it's like as it's coming out of my mouth, I realize that's not funny. You don't just go, hey, excuse me, don't know you at all. Just want to pay for some gas. But I'm going to go home and I'm going to punch a full hole through my wall. I'm going to hurt myself. And I think I might have added a bit of weird detail to it. But as I'm saying, I'm just like, this is funny. But a lot of people might find that upsetting. And it's just like, oh, I looked back in terror. And he's just like, oh, yeah, like, I hear you. Like, all right, cool. As long as you see this in the funny way and not in the, no, I'm just a violent maniac. Like, I'm not going to go home and punch a door. This was just so we can both have fun, pretending we're going crazy about the fact that it just never ends. It just never ends. It's just fun. It's just fun. All right, let's call that robot lady. See if we can't get it to focus. Robot lady. Yeah, I don't know. It's probably focused enough, and I'm just really far away from the computer, so I can't. I just can't see it from here. Um, but yeah, because there's no such thing as robots. I mean, grown-ups. But Lady Robot, robot for money, lift things and move things for you. Um. Oh yeah, it's already the middle of the night. That is No Such Thing as Grown-Ups. As always, every Tuesday, 8:30 Atlantic time, we're here drawing weird pinup robots, dinosaur ladies, insect people. I was gonna do some like just 80s cartoons, except weird, creepy style like I've been doing on the Instagram. And as always, for all you new followers floating around, follow along on Instagram. There's a link on Twitch, Mixer, all those places. So I post all of the pictures here. But most importantly, before we do a stream, that's where I post the hey, we're about to stream. And it's the only social media I care about anymore because the rest all seem evil. Other than today, Instagram was saying, hey, by the way, you're supposed to get upset about Sonic the Hedgehog. I'm like, I don't want to. I don't want to. I know it's not a movie for me. It's not a movie for me. And that's fine. That's fine. It's a kid's movie that will be for nobody. And that's okay. And someday someone will be like, well, I'm just going to make a fan-made film with my money with no James Marsden and it's going to be amazing. Or on the day I really consider watching the Sonic the Hedgehog CG live action movie, I will watch the anime one and enjoy that instead. Or anything else. Or I'll do anything else because that's how life works. If you don't want to watch Game of Thrones, you don't have to spend all day going to war against Game of Thrones. You can do anything else. And that's how I spend my day. Again on the Instagram, today's hey, the stream is gonna be live today. Art, whatever that is, notification. Instead of eating a Reese peanut butter cup, I decided I'm going to stop motion this right quick and just draw on the little piece of card underneath the cup. And it only took a few minutes, but that's something that I did instead of going on the internet and going, let me tell you about your end games and your hedgehogs. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. I'll either see them or I won't. I'll like them at the time or I won't. You don't need to carry the burdens of movies with you for the rest of your life. So I don't. Anyway, that's what we do while Ripley gets bored. Hey, sweet angel, you ready to close up shop? Blink harder. Sorry. Always upsetting the sweetest angel. But that's it. I gotta go to sleep too. Good night, everybody. And number 3. Every week we'll draw some crazy stuff. Thank you for stopping by. If your schedule's not too rough. There's a website address there. You can visit it with a few simple clicks.